Your media, where you are.
Belang, Sanolani, Ahe. Welcome to another episode of Redefining Your Money with Palesa. My name is Palesa Tolwe, a certified financial planner by profession, but a person who's very, very passionate about empowering women in South Africa, particularly those that look like me. I've got a guest today, a very, very exciting topic that we're going to have, in fact. And my guest is also someone that I work pretty close with. So I'm hoping that you will find her as exciting as I find her, and as insightful as I find her. Because, yay, she comes with a lot of drama, with a lot of exciting topics, with a lot of insightful topics. And the most important thing is she's also equally very passionate about empowering females. So my guest is none other than Zola Mbata. Zola, hello sis.
Hi, Palisa.
Jani.
I'm good, sis. Wena?
I'm okay. I am very, very excited that you agreed to have this conversation with me.
Thank you.
You and I have had very outrageous conversations.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
We have to.
But I think the main thing is that we are really passionate about empowering our people. And that's why I'm super excited about talking to you today.
Ngiyabonga, sis. Thank you. I'm excited to be here too.
So, before you actually come in and introduce yourself, because I would like you to do an introduction of how you would like to be known.
Okay.
But I'd like to do a quick introduction of who you are to our viewers. Okay. So, Zola Mbata. And when you say Zola, everyone is expecting a man, right? No. It's a female. Zola Mbata is I call her a fiduciary specialist and my fiduciary specialist, but she's an attorney by profession. She's an admitted attorney, in fact, by the High Court by profession. She has spent a lot of time, and a lot of her experience is mainly in the financial services sector, strange enough, and that's how she and I connected. And she's been, and I'm not going to mention the brand, but she's been working with a particular brand, a very big brand, in fact, in South Africa, in the financial services sector, in the fiduciary department of that. So she's going to tell us a bit more about that, but she's also going to tell us a bit more about what she does now, because she does a lot of work, not just now in the fiduciary space, but also in compliance as well. So she'll tell us a bit more about that. But importantly, Zola runs her own firm called Legacy Yezibaya. We are all about legacies, creating legacies and creating wealth. So I invite you to please join us and have this conversation. I know you'll be having your own conversation at home, but take out your notepad, write down some notes, because this lady is going to empower you today. Zola, please do educate us about what you do now.
Oh, you always just have this nice way of talking about me. But I think I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to come here and to this your platform. But more than just for today, I want to take a moment to just thank you, because you are one of the females that embody, the essence of female promotion, female togetherness, as well as, there's a very huge and unfortunate misconception, but sometimes it is true that women do not know how to work together. We just repel. And then as a result, we are never productive, and we never really tackle issues that only women and the compassion that women can tackle. So I think that it's important for me to make you know, as well as your listeners, that, in every room I've been in, you only speak well about me. In fact, I've learned so much about what I'm doing through your eyes because of how well you speak about me. You promote, women togetherness, and I'm very proud of you for doing that. So thank you for inviting me, and thank you for being that female. Balisa. So, yes, I am. My name is Zola Mbata, and I am the founder of Legacy Ezibaya. Legacy, of course, we all know what legacy means. You know, it speaks to what is going to be inherited by the next generations and how well it is, as opposed to insolvency, which speaks to a badly run estate, and then you can't really pass it on as a legacy, right? So, legacy speaks about assets, it speaks about wealth, and it speaks about a value that's coming your way from the generation that comes before you. So, of course, we all understand the name legacy. And then Yezibaya is a plural for the Zulu word Isibaya, which speaks to the kraal, which is where African wealth is kept, right? Which is where the herd capital in Africa is cow and bulls, livestock.
Yeah.
So my entity, really just by name, is a story that speaks to, the inheritance coming from African wealth. Because I think that predominantly historically, European wealth has been catered for, has been systematically built for, but African wealth has been ignored in that essence. It's almost as if Africans didn't know wealth until Europeans came to Africa, and that's very incorrect.
Yeah.
So, my company is not, the largest company in the world, but just, its speech speaks to what should be considered something that's large, which is African wealth, and it deserves protection as well as successful transfer to the next generation. So that's what I do for a living. I'm an estate planner. I'm an attorney, as Balisa, you have told your listeners. But more importantly, I'm a very passionate person when it comes to sharing knowledge. I've been like that since I was a young varsity graduate, a candidate attorney. I've always gone into public clinics and, just called the crowds, are you aware there's such a things as last wills and testaments? Just as a child, I've gone to churches in the communities where I've spoken to, elderlies. And so it only made sense when I went into corporate to become a corporate attorney that they tapped into that. Corporate structure speaks to leadership, and the leaders are put there because of their talent and their ability to spot talent, but more particularly to spot where your talent is, right? So I was in corporate space, the institution you're referring to, I was identified as someone who can speak to the public. And so they started putting me in that role over and above my work that I was doing. And so as I left and became an entrepreneur, of course, I'm going to take that value and then bring it into whichever community I land in. Yeah. And so that's in essence what drives me, my passion to teach the next person what I know. You're not going to know it the way I know it. Like law. I've got a degree for it. I've got, training in the Law Society. I've written board exams. I've done articles. It's almost 7 to 8 years of training. I can't teach the next person 8 years of training, but I can definitely teach them the fundamentals of what that law is about so that they can protect themselves and their families. At least it's something.
You've put it so nicely, Zola. So, Tina, Apa, she. Your media.
Yes.
We are all about empowering she.
Yes.
As you can see. We are all about the fact that she deserves money, she deserves wealth, she deserves to know her rights, she deserves to go wherever she wants to go. She deserves to lead if she wants to lead. She deserves to be single if she wants to be single. Yes. She deserves to have children if she wants to have children by herself. And she deserves to get married in the correct way if she wants to get married in the correct way. And she deserves to know about the wills and trusts and everything else in between, right? So we are all about that. And in terms of what you know me as we are a company that focuses on assisting people to create wealth, right?
Yes.
But it's pointless. It really is a pointless exercise to try and create wealth if you don't put all the protection around it in place, or in the risk mitigation measures in place to make sure that the wealth that has been created is also protected. So I often say to some people that my job is not about helping you to make money, because I think you go to entrepreneurship school for that. I'm also just an entrepreneur, just like you. I'm trying to earn a living. My job is not to actually teach you how to be an entrepreneur, but my job is to help you as an individual to secure that wealth that you're trying to create
Yes.
with, your entrepreneurial skills that you are learning. And so we are all about preserving. And I couldn't think of a better person to do that job than you. And you and I do work together. Sometimes we consult clients together for a reason, because I also want to make sure, like you said, you went to school, you studied certain things that I haven't studied. That I don't know. Now it's our opportunity to put it in layman's terms.
Yes.
Those things. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to tell people everything today, right? But our plan is to do these as often as possible. You've already started, and one of the topics that that you are famous for right now, whether it's by choice, it's by default, it's your own personal experiences, it's because we ask you these questions. In fact, when I was planning my year in terms of my podcast, I actually I've already written all the topics that I want to talk about, and I decided today that I'm gonna divert a little bit from the exact topic that we want to talk about, because there's just a lot that we need to unpack, and we sort of want to unpack it in a nice way, right? So yes, we are empowering her, right? We are empowering this woman. She's about between the ages of 25.
Okay.
Yeah, you are between the age of 25 to about maybe 50, 60. We don't know. But yeah, whatever age you are, we are empowering you today to know your rights, and in particular to what you've been talking about mainly now, which is, I'll mention it, the Section 37C. But I really don't want to focus on the fact that it's called Section 37C, because it becomes too technical. When the label becomes too technical. So what I want to say is, Zola, I'd like us to chat a little bit about the fact that when insika, as you have put it in one of your TikToks, when insika, or when the breadwinner of the family dies, and often in cases that we find ourselves, that this insika is a man, right? When insika dies, he leaves a legacy, and we end up not gaining as much from what they have left, because he didn't do certain things right. So how do we as women now learn what is right for us, so that we don't find ourselves in those positions? So let's unpack that section in terms of what it focuses on, and also what are some of the nuggets that our viewers can take for themselves. Particularly, remember, we're not talking to the males today, we're talking to the females, and we're saying, how do you empower yourself to make sure that you don't end up with nothing at the end of the day because of this Section 37C? And I'm equally passionate about empowering all of them. Whether I'm a side chick, I need to know my rights. Whether I'm a married woman, I need to know my rights. And even if I'm a single woman and I want to protect my children, I need to know my rights.
Okay, thank you, Valisa. It's quite a mouthful question, but I think I understood the gist of it, from risk identification. So I have, as you know, and you've just alluded to partially, I have a TikTok account, called Legacy Zibaya, as you introduced my entity, or my name, Zolambata, if you search for it, wherein I have multiple videos, from different topics. One of the first topics was relating to a legal clinic that I run predominantly for grannies in the communities that can't afford legal assistance, where they get to talk about, them losing their properties, where they're losing their houses and their homes because of lack of estate planning. And I've got a segment on, estate administration. Once a person passes away, what exactly happens? Those 10 steps of what happens once you've passed away, and how long it takes, so that you can best prepare for that time. I've got a segment about trusts. I've also got a segment about the recognition of customary marriages and how it prejudices the current woman today. I've got a segment on the Section 37C that you're referring to. Is a section in an act called the Pension Fund Act, where majority of pension fund holders, which is majority of South Africans, majority of people that are employed, are under the impression that when you have a pension and you fill in a beneficiary nomination form, that you are okay,
It's
and
done.
therefore you can behave however you want outside of that nomination form, and your nominated beneficiaries will benefit, and that's not the case. And so I think what you are alluding to as well is one of the segments is that section, and it has gone quite viral on social media from my platforms as well as from platforms of other people that have shared it. And it just speaks to how much people want to hear it.
Yeah.
When you listen to it,
But sorry, it also just speaks to how little we know
Yes.
about our own rights.
affairs. Yes, and
Our
right.
own
Precisely. So when you listen to it, it's I mix, and also I think what attracts people to that TikTok account of mine is the consistency in the dual use of two languages, English and Zulu, because it speaks to how authentic I am about who I am as I relate to the people that might not be Zulu.
And please feel
it's
free to also add Zulu as well as we speak.
No,
Thetha sisi if you have to kuthetha khuluma, if you have to khuluma.
No, I understand. So you'll hear in that video, it starts with ngifuna ukunixwayisa, kakhulukazi abantu besilisa cause ibona ababhejayo. Those are it's men that pay.
But we're not focusing on them today.
That's where I'm going. Is that you as a woman are charged with the duty of listening to the xwayiso as if it's for men. But in essence, it's warning women of the hardship they're facing, especially the woman that commits. The way that, the Pension Fund Act, Section 37, particularly C, which speaks to when you have died, the way that it's structured, giving discretion to people that don't know you as a woman and your family structure, it's been used in such a way that wives, those that are married with children of marriage, are suffering a prejudice because their men are under the impression that they've nominated them as beneficiaries of a pension and they relax in life. You yourself as a married woman, you relax thinking, my husband has got us. He's got a pension for us. Meanwhile, he's dating the ones that are okay with dating married men or the ones that intentionally date married men so that they can claim in this wealth that's being built here. And when this man dies, intiga imiwa, kuwa inte heavy, women behave strange when a man is not around. It's almost as if women are two-dimensional. We are one structure when we are around men, and then we are another unpleasant structure when we are around just each other.
Yeah.
So to answer your question is twofold. Use data around you as a woman to empower yourself. Don't get emotional in your research. Don't watch something like this video and be emotional and start swearing at other women. No. Instead, be the woman that goes, oh, my goodness, let me put up my own pension. Let me stop using my money to pay towards my man's pension because I'm sure that I have a large stake coming at the end, because you don't.
100%.
Section 37C will hlakaza yonke leyo nto leyo. And when uzosithola, I've seen some comments from women. It's mainly women that respond to that video, by the way, even though it starts with, I'm warning you men. Because I'm warning the men on behalf of the women that are suffering because of their actions.
Yeah.
Women will comment and say, this has happened to me. My aunts have claimed my mother's pension. This has happened to me where my husband's girlfriend has come with a baby younger than mine and she earns less than me and she's gotten the entire pension. I've now had to resign so that my child, mine and my husband's child, can finish university.
Can you believe it?
This is what's happening
now.
to
You
women.
leave in your employment just so that you can be seen as unemployed, and then you can be able to benefit from
either benefit but this particular woman wanted the pension so she can put her child through universities, because all of a sudden this pension she's been investing on, having her man's back while he's paying contributions towards it, and perhaps even sometimes he didn't have the contribution, and she's funded it on the basis of, I'm doing this for my child's future. She's the woman that has had to resign from her job so she can get her pension and put her son through varsity, because her man that she was having his back went and had a girlfriend outside of marriage and a child younger than their child. And that child and that girlfriend are now entitled to more of his pension
So
than she is.
let's quickly search on that point and use that example, Zola, because like I said when I started, there's just a lot that we can talk about.
It is quite a lot.
And it's not going to be enough for the 30 minutes that we have, right? So let's sit on that example. So Section 37C of the Pension Fund Act is saying exactly what that makes the trustees
This happen. Yeah.
now pay the money into the other child instead of this child, or maybe more to the other child instead of this child and the wife.
So Section 37C is a protection clause of the pension fund, that says once a member has passed away, at the time when they die, they might have a nomination form, they might even have a last will and testament, which a board of trustees that is built up and selected based on Section 37C alone, will then decide how much of this pension is being distributed and to whom. So Section 37C gives a discretion to these trustees, which are strangers, by the way. They have no knowledge of this man or his family. And this section then gives them the discretion, the power to decide what happens to his pension over and above his own nomination, over and above his own will. Why? Because at the time of death, he might have had dependents that he didn't have time to include in the nomination.
And I actually wanted to say that, Zolu. I think also let's just be factually correct, or maybe to say, yes, it may look as if Section 37C is a bad act, right? But there's some good to it. And we need to get to that good to it as well, because the unfortunate part is that there are children, many children out there, that don't get anything from their parents or from their fathers because of certain reasons, and so it's also
prejudice.
For their, it's also a prejudice on their side as well.
Precisely. So don't get me wrong, and I'm glad you raised that point, Balisa, even though we do have a limited time left. The problem is not with Section 37C. The problem is with the abuse of the Section 37C discretion by the people that are appointed to administer it, right? So the problem is then with the behavior of families, particularly we're using a man as an example because the man is supposed to be providing for his family, particularly a man that then leaves a wife and his children exposed. Remember, our objective is to protect her. Our objective is not to fix the law of South Africa. Our objective is to protect her. And I'm saying to you, Balisa, that Section 37C has been abused. The discretion granted by it has been abused, treated so carelessly that right now she is suffering, and she is suffering with her children. And she would not be suffering if she had built her own pension instead of relying on her man's pension. Do you understand? So the problem here is not Section 37C. We have to look at Section 37C though, in light of the case studies. If you look at stats, you go to the pension fund adjudicator and you see how many complaints are there because of the unfair use of Section 37C.
Numbers don't lie.
Yes, numbers don't lie. And mutu uyayibheka ama-complaint amaningi awasuki isuka kwabantu bethu. So yini yenza ukuthi abantu bethu bahlele emakhaya bakhamisile bamangele ukuthi hawu ngaze ngahlupheka, I've lost a man now, I've lost a source of income, a breadwinner, and I've lost any potential wealth we were building together through the pension, because the pension is only one avenue of building revenue for your family. And now I've lost all of these things. How could I have prevented it? My point is, you can prevent it. A, as a man, by behaving in a way that you understand your woman and your children are going to be suffering when you've passed away. But most importantly, B, as a woman, don't rely. Use this information so that you can build your own avenues, so that when the time comes, that pension, for example, is only the cherry on top of what you have already built as a woman. Be informed. Because discretionaries and acts, they're being administered by humans. And humans are not perfect.
And humans are not perfect. And that's very important. So one of the things that I remember very clearly with 37C is that it does stipulate and say they're focusing mainly on financial dependency and factual dependence, right? Precisely. With that means who's the financial dependent? It's everyone who was financially dependent on this nzika, on this I didn't want to say, I don't want to use the English word, but Ganene, how do you say it in Sotho? And how do you say it in other African languages? Because now you use the word breadwinner. Because we always use breadwinner, but I didn't want to use breadwinner. Look,
I also don't understand.
A breadwinner can be, look, a breadwinner can be a woman, a breadwinner can be a man. So we need to also be very clear on that. The Nzika actually can be a woman.
No, because Section 37 can discriminate against the woman's estate as well. Because I have cases like that as well.
100%.
Yes,
they may not be common
as
much as these other ones, but they are there. So where I'm getting at is if someone, and you've said it nicely in how you've used the WhatsApp, and I want you to say it yourself again. You've used that WhatsApp example, and you say, as a woman or a man, if you have been helping anyone financially, which is a good thing, and it comes from a fantastic thing, place, right?
And it's ubuntu. And that's what Balisa upsets me in the abuse of the discretion. Because this is two parts. It's your behavior and it's also the abuse of the discretion. Now we must watch our behavior so that we can avoid the discretion being abused when it comes to our estate. But it doesn't take away the fact that there is an incorrect application of this section. But the point I want to make is that as Black people, we are pushed up by the principle of Ubuntu. We are raised to understand that the more we do for people, the more we are going to be able to have, so we can do for more people. And now the way that they are tearing apart family incomes and family wealth or family stability when it comes to a pension, for example, almost makes us want to say, now are you trying to force us to not be Ubuntu? Now we mustn't help each other, because if I pay for my neighbor's child school fees, my neighbor, when I've died, can come and claim that child is my dependent on my pension, which will discriminate my child because my neighbor's child is younger than my child. Because part of the Section 37C regulation is that, the rules is that you need to prove financial dependency, and the factors being considered are, how old is this financial dependent? And the younger the financial dependent, the more they allocate. And whether that financial dependent is your biological child or not, they are allocating more. And you know, ngizoyisho ngesiZulu lento le. As you know, when we ngifuna ukuhleba kancane, ama estates nama pension abelungu awenziwa lezi zinto lezi, awekho ama-complain kuwona, but bayasiza nabo, bayabasiza abantwana abakubo, their siblings, children, their nephews, but decent in that abaclaimi thina siyaclaima shesha. So it speaks to behavior yethu.
So it tells me ke mina Zola lento ukuthi this is it's complex, but it's actually simple at the same time. And the simplicity of it is, as a woman, you as a woman must make sure that you have your own financial affairs in
order.
Right?
Yes.
Make sure that you as a woman have your own pension fund, have your own retirement annuity, have your own savings account, have your own house, if you can.
Yes, please. And your own trust.
Your own will, your own trust.
Precisely.
But also
speak to family.
100%, right? Consult professionals. There's Uzola, who's a fiduciary specialist by background, but an attorney by profession, because she has actually studied the law and worked in the space. There's Ubaleza, who's a certified financial planner, and she knows the products that you can actually take.
Precisely.
But also, while you take the products, make sure that the products are protected from these rules, from these rules and these laws that may actually work against what you're trying to achieve, right? Because at the end of the day, you deserve the wealth.
Yes, you do.
Deserve to create it, but also if you happen to have inherited it, you deserve to know what you need to do once you have to move it forward.
Yes, progress, not regress.
Exactly. But I think one last, and I don't know how much time now we have.
Run out of time.
We probably have run out of time, but just one last thing that I would like you to leave our viewers with, that they can do. If you already are in a situation, you haven't done any of the things that you were supposed to do, what can you do and what you do not do? Because sometimes, unfortunately, also people listen to wrong advice.
Yes.
Wrong things because of the wrong advice.
Yeah.
So what are two things that you can say, do, and don't?
So I would say, Balisa, just as a good practice, you need to do your own research. Listen, Google is your friend. And you'll be surprised how many professionals use Google as a guiding factor before they go into the encyclopedias.
Yeah.
So you have access to Google. Don't spend so much time on social media or on the internet that it doesn't benefit you. So do your own research before you even go see a professional so that it is a corrected measure when you see the professional, so that you can say, I have an idea of what you're talking about. I just needed clarity as to how it applies to me, because that's what a professional does. They do the practical, you do the theory. I'm not saying let's all go be medical doctors and be lawyers, but do your research. You can hear the thing. You can hear that feeling. What is it called? Intuition?
Yeah.
You have the feeling that I'm comfortable in this marriage, I'm comfortable in this motherhood, I'm comfortable in being a sibling, and I'm comfortable being a child. But I have not had my back. I've had all these people's back. I, as a woman, have not had my own back. So start with that. Build a financial wall of protection around you. And how can you do that? Do your research. Do your research as to how a will can help you. Do your research as to how a trust can help you. Do your research as to how you can get your own policies and your own pension funds before you come to Balisa, for example. And do your own research as to, from a legal perspective, if you are involved, it's almost like a spiritual example. If you are involved with the human being, you have opened the door for their spiritual skeletons to access you. So do your research as to how you can build a firewall, a spiritual and a financial firewall. Once you've done that research, you are then able to start seeing a professional based on where you have the highest need of professional assistance, because we can't afford to have professionals on all 5 spheres of our lives at the same time. You'll be able to see, this is urgent. Now that I've read up on this is extremely urgent. I need a will. This is so urgent. Before my boyfriend or my fiance brings a letter to Lobola in my house, I need to go do an anti-nuptial contract because I'm going to be married in covenantal property with him. But don't sit there and just enjoy the nice things in life to a point where you are rendered a victim of soft life. And then once it's over, it's almost like a hole has been opened and now you're falling. So there's no sustainability of soft life. So you as a woman, you must use the step that this easy life gives you to empower yourself. You have to protect what you have. And protecting what you have is not through a man. It's not through your father. And it's not through your brother. It's yourself as a woman. You and I are female professionals. We're female professionals. It should be easy as a woman, now that you've done your own research, let me reach out to Balisa as a female financial planner. Let me reach out to Zola as a female financial lawyer. Let me reach out to so-and-so as a female gynae. Just surround yourself with women professionals if it makes you comfortable, because we will keep boosting you. We'll tell you what you're doing is correct. And we won't advise you in a way that it breaks your structures. We're not going to tell you get out of a marriage to protect money. No, we're going to tell you we're happy that you are married. How can we help you to protect that marriage? But before we get to your marriage, let's start here with you, especially because you've gone and had kids now. So you have to have the back of your children, and the only way you can do that is to protect yourself as a woman.
100%. Zola, thank you so much. I know we haven't even... Gosh, I feel like we just touched on the tip. The tip of the iceberg, and there's just this huge iceberg underneath. But no problem. We still have many, hopefully, weeks ahead of us that we can unpack these more. But I think more importantly then, if people do want to follow you, where can they get you? You already mentioned TikTok account, Zola Mbata. And are you available on other social media spaces?
Yeah, I've got a Facebook account for Legacy Ezibaya, which has articles on the fiduciary services tools. I've also got a website, legacyezibaya.co.za, where you'll find a form to fill in and communicate with me. But you can also use Facebook to just send me an inbox. I'm very responsive on the Facebook platform because it gives me a chance to just read the messaging, far from a WhatsApp perspective. Whereas WhatsApp is overwhelming if you have a lot of, especially because I run the legal clinic in Soweto.
Yeah.
So you can just imagine how many people are always querying. And at the end of the day, it is pro bono all that I'm doing. And I'm not and I'm not an NPO. I am a PTY LTD.
Yeah.
So I have to be able to financially make sense of my time.
100%.
So definitely Facebook if you want to actively communicate with me. TikTok if you just want the data and the information. And my website if you want to read the articles or contact me for professional purposes.
Okay. No, perfect. And of course, for those who know me, you can still get through to Zola.
Yes,
Me.
through Palisa.
And other structures. But honestly, I it's my heartfelt, gratitude for what you do, because you do the Lord's work, and I really appreciate it. And I really truly hope that everyone who was listening to this, or who is listening to this, that they at least took one thing out of it.
Exactly.
And one thing, and you don't need to
That's
take
all
a lot,
we need.
just
Yes.
take one out of it and try and use it to your advantage. And of course, you deserve to be financially free.
Precisely.
In terms of just the things that you want to do. So in other words, I'm saying you deserve financial freedom, you deserve the wealth, and you deserve to be happy in whatever decisions that you are making and that you have made. But you also need to be empowered by information and use the information to your advantage.
Definitely.
Thank you,
Thank you so much, Palisa, for the invite. Thank you.